record this. Okay, and I'm just gonna write a message. I don't know what's going on with the streaming. I'm going to continue record. I'm gonna continue this. I'm gonna continue our reading, but I will record it to my computer so that I can load a more smooth version after. Okay, there. It's recording now, so I'm going to just resume. Sorry about that, everybody. It's really strange. Thank God that didn't happen yesterday on Nityananda Trayodashi. Okay. एक दिन शुक्लांबर ब्रह्मचारी स्थाने कृपाय ताहाने अन्न मागिला apane. One day, the Lord mercifully asked Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī for some rice. Tor anna khaite amar icha bodo, kichu bhoy na koriho, boli laya dodo. I have a strong desire to eat your rice. Do not fear. This is a sincere request. E Madhya Mahaprabhu bole bar bar, shuni Śuklāmbara kaku koren apar. When Mahaprabhu made repeated requests in this way, Śuklāmbara emotionally pleaded with the Lord. Oh, great. Raseshwari managed to make it on Zoom. That's great. I'm sorry, everybody else watching on the streaming platforms, but I'll upload this video later on, a better version of it. Bhikshuk. Okay, so when Mahaprabhu made repeated requests in this way, Śuklāmbara emotionally pleaded with the Lord. Bhikshuk adhamamui papishta garhita tumi dharma sanatan mui se patita. Śuklāmbara said, I am a most sinful, wretched beggar, and you are the personification of eternal religious principles, which I have fallen from. Mor kotha dibe prabhu charaner chai, kita tulya naho more eto boro maya. O Lord, you should give me the shelter of your lotus feet. Although I am not even equal to an insect, you are trying to deceive me. This chapter starts really abruptly, doesn't it? I'm just wondering if there's like some verses missing at the beginning. I'm just checking really quickly. We're on the okay, I have it open right here. Okay. Yeah, it's starting at the right place. Okay. Oh Lord, you should give me the shelter of your lotus feet. Although I am not even equal to an insect, you are trying to deceive me. Mor kota dibe prabhu, charanera chaya, kita tulya naho more eto boro maya. Prabhu bole maya heno na basi ho mane, boro icha base mor tomare randhane. The Lord said, do not consider this a deception, for I have a strong desire to taste your cooking. Satvare naivedagya koroho basai, aji ami madhyane jaibo sarvathai. Go home and quickly prepare an offering for the Lord. I will surely come at midday. Tatapi ha Śuklāmbara bhoy pai mane, jukti jigyasilen shakal bhakta sthane. Still, Śuklāmbara was in anxiety, so he asked all the devotees what he should do. Shabe bolilen tumi kene koro bhoy, paramarte ishwarer keho bhinna noy. They all said, why are you afraid? From the spiritual point of view, no one is separate from the Supreme Lord. Visheshe je janatane sarva bhave bhaje sarva kalatana anna apane khoje. He always begs food, especially from those who worship him with unflinching devotion. Who worship him sarva bhave bhaje, who serve him in all ways. Apane shudrar putra vidurer stane anna magi kailen bhaktir karane. Although Vidura was a son of a Shudra, because of his devotional service, the Lord personally begged food from him. The Lord personally begged food from him and ate. Gaudiya Bhashya. For a description of the Lord's begging rice from Vidura, see the Mahabharat Udyog Parva, chapter 90. Bhaktastane magi khai prabhur swabhav deho giyau tumi boro kori anurag. It is the nature of the Lord to beg food from his devotees and eat. Just go and offer him lunch with great devotion. Tatapi hatumi jadi bhoy vasamane alo goche tumi giya koroho randhane. If you still feel fearful, then don't touch the food while you cook. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word alagoche, derived from the Persian word algse, means without touching, without contact, or keeping at a distance. Boro bhagya tomar emoto kripa jare shuni dvija harishe aila nija ghare. You are most fortunate to receive such mercy. On hearing this, the Brahman returned to his house. Snana kori Śuklāmbara ati savadhane suvasita jala tapta korila apane. After taking bath, Śuklāmbara carefully boiled some scented water. And I just want to get some more context to this because we read about Śuklāmbara before. I'm just looking really quickly here in I don't want to try to summarize it in my own words, what we read before about Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, because I have a bad memory. So I just rather. Where's Śuklāmbara? Let's find Śuklāmbara. There he is. Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī. So Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī was previously one of the wives of the sacrificial Brahmins in Vraj. Mahaprabhu requested food from him and ate it. Some people say that he was one of the sacrificial Brahmanas. So that's from Gaur Ganodeshtipika, verse 191. So in Krishna Lila, he's one of the wives of the sacrificial Brahmanas. The Mathur Brahmins. Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, a poor mendicant. Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī is counted among the branches of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is Srila Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Goswami Maharaj, by the way. He was a resident of Navadvip town, manifesting the pastimes of a poor Brahmin who begged for a living. Nevertheless, he had an abiding affection for the Lord. Though to an ordinary conditioned soul, he appeared to be a poverty-stricken mendicant, to transcendental eyes, he was rich because of his love for Mahaprabhu. In chapter 20, Madhya-khaṇḍa chapter 20, verse 37. We'll read this verse. Prem dhan bina vyartha daridra jivan dāsa kori vetan more deho prema dhan. Without the wealth of love of God, my life is poverty-stricken and worthless. Employ me as your servant and pay me with the salary of prem. When Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, he first met with the devotees in Śuklāmbara Brahmacāri's house. And this is a quote from the first chapter of Madhya-khaṇḍa, verses 78 to 82. This is the first chapter we read in this part. Śrīman Pandit then left along the banks of the Ganga to the house of Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī. Having heard the news, Gadadhar Pandit quickly followed him there. He hid in Śuklāmbara's house, thinking that he would eavesdrop as to what Mahaprabhu would talk about Krishna. All the loving devotees of the Lord, such as Shadashiv, Murari, Śrīman, and Śuklāmbara, had gathered there when Vishwambar, the jewel of the Brahmins, came and met them. So Shri Gadadhar Pandit Goswami, Sadashiv, Murari, Shivas Pandit, Śrīman Pandit, and others were amazed to witness the Lord's ecstatic transformations in Śuklāmbara's house. Then the Lord snatches rice from Śuklāmbara's begging bag. This is what we read before. This is a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 10, verse 38. Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī was very fortunate, for the Lord snatched food from him and ate it himself. Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī kept body and soul together by offering and eating the foodstuffs which he daily accumulated by begging. Since he was constantly absorbed in the joys of chanting the names and qualities of the Lord, he never suffered from his poverty. Ignorant people thought he was just an ordinary beggar. No one can recognize Mahaprabhu's servants unless they receive the Lord's mercy. One day, Mahaprabhu was sitting alone in a devotional trance when Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī happened by. When Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī happened by, his begging bag flung over his shoulder. He walked by with his begging bag over his shoulder. When he saw the Lord, he started to dance ecstatically. The Lord was pleased to see the depth of Śuklāmbara's feeling, and he began to glorify him. He then plucked a handful of dry rice from his bag and began to chew it. Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī was troubled to see the Lord eating the uncleaned and broken fragments of low-quality rice and felt that he had committed an offense. The Lord calmed him and said that he always ate his devotees' food with great enthusiasm, but that he had no interest whatsoever in the finest foods of the non-devotee. The devotees were delighted to see the Lord's mercy on Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, who was then given a blessing by the Lord. The Lord said, "Listen, Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, I reside permanently in your heart. Whenever you eat, I eat. When you go on your begging rounds, I accompany you. I descended to Am I sharing my screen? Yeah. For some reason, it's usually there's a thing here. Hari Bol Shubhananda Prabhu. Usually there's anyways, let me just that's weird. Okay. The Lord, yeah. So whenever you eat, I eat. When you go on your begging rounds, I accompany you. I have descended to distribute the love of Godhead, and you are my affectionate servant, lifetime after lifetime. I hereby bestow upon you prem bhakti, which is my very soul. When the devotees heard the Lord's blessing, they made a joyful noise, shouting, Jai, Jai. That was in chapter 16. And I'm going to skip that, the Gaudiya Bhashya. Yeah, anyways. Now we're reading this chapter in the 26th chapter of Caitanya-bhāgavata. It is also said that the Mahaprabhu ate cooked food in the house of Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī. So this is the second time that Mahaprabhu is eating Śuklāmbara's rice. Okay, sorry. I just like to get more context. Okay. So after taking bath, so the devotee said, "Oh, Śuklāmbara, you are most fortunate to receive such mercy." On hearing this, the Brahmin returned to his house. Snana kori Śuklāmbara ati savadhane, suvasita jal tapta korila apane. After taking bath, Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī carefully boiled some scented water. Suvasita jal. Tandul sahita tave divya garbha thod. Alo goche diya vipra koila kara jod. The Brahmin then put some rice and the choice core of a banana stem in the water without touching them and folded his hands. How does he do that without touching them? I guess like having cloth in his hands? Yeah. See how carefully, with how much love, he didn't want to even touch the thing. Jai Krishna Govinda Gopala Vanamali Bolite Lagila Śuklāmbara Kutuhali. Śuklāmbara then began to joyfully sing, Jai Krishna, Govinda, Gopala, Vanamali. Shekhane Bhakta Anne, Rama Jagan Mata, Drishtipata Korilen, Mahapativrata. At that moment, the greatly chaste Lakshmi, the mother of the universe, glanced at the devotee's rice. Sorry. Tatakhane sarvamrita hoilo she anna snana kori prabhu asi hoila upasanna. That rice then immediately became exactly like nectar. Meanwhile, the Lord arrived there after finishing his bath. Shange Nityananda Adi Apta Koto Jan Tita Vastra Edilen Shri Sachinandan. He was accompanied by some of his intimate associates like Nityananda. Shri Sachinandan then changed out of his wet clothes. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word tita, coming from sikta, means wet, soaked, or dripping. We saw that word a couple times at the end of the previous chapter, right? It was saying that Mahaprabhu, when he tried to do Vishnu Puja, then his clothes became tita because of his crying. And then he would go and change his clothes, and then again, he'd start crying and his clothes became tita. Apane loila anna tana icha pali, Śuklāmbara dekhiya hasen kutuhali. As the Lord took that rice he had desired, he looked at Śuklāmbara and smiled happily. Gangara grete ghar Gangar samipe, Vishnu nivedan korilen boro shukhe. The house was situated right next to the Ganga. The Lord then happily offered the rice to Vishnu. Hashi boshilen Prabhu anande bhojane, Nayana bhoriya dekhe shabhritya gane. Thereafter, the Lord smiled as he joyfully sat down to eat. All his servants watched to the full satisfaction of their eyes. Brahmadir Jagya Bhokta Shri Gora Sundar Śuklāmbara Anna Khai E Boro Dushkara. It was most extraordinary that Sri Gaurasundar, the enjoyer of sacrifices offered by personalities such as Brahma, was now eating the rice of Śuklāmbara. Gaudiya Bhashya. Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Vishnu, the Lord of all sacrifices, eats in the pure sacrifice of Brahma. Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī used to collect rice by begging from door to door. From the external point of view, that rice was contaminated because of being touched. Since it is not possible to collect uncontaminated rice through begging, householders do not accept items touched by beggars. It is true that uncontaminated rice is more pure than rice contaminated by touch. But rice received through begging is even more pure because it has been received as a gift by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. It is true that from the external point of view, the contamination of being touched or the violation of the path of awe and reverence is present. But according to the philosophy preached by Sri Gaurasundar, the most important factor in Mahaprasad is the purity of heart. Yeah, for a long time, many years, I went on Bengal Prachar. Sorry, what am I saying? My mind's a little bit foggy. Sorry. I would go on Dwadashi Bhiksha in Mathura for like 5 years. Every Dwadashi, I would start right after breakfast, like quickly after breakfast, and come back at like 2 o'clock or something like that. So a lot of begging from all the houses of the Mathura Vasis. And all the brahmacharis would do that. And we each had our own field. So I had my particular route, all the different houses I'd go to. And I'd have to come back twice, like fill up a whole bunch of bags and then go back to the mat and then empty them out and then go out again. And then I'd usually get back after lunch. And but in all the houses, everybody gives the rice. Mostly it's atta actually, like they big thing of atta, and then rice and different spices, and sometimes dal and like different things. Every house gave like different things. And but they would give it all on their every house. They would give it on the using the plates that they'd eat off of. And so it was all like, in Takoji's kitchen, you would never use your own eating plate and like put the things like the items on it. But all the things that we collected is all coming from people's eating plates and eating cups and all that. But it was still used in Takoji service. Like we'd still offer everything. And so, anyways, we're just getting, yeah, but I guess that's okay. Because what is it? What is it? Um, from the external point of view, it is true that the contamination of being touched is present. But according to the philosophy preached by Sri Gaurasundar, the most important factor in Mahaprasad is the purity of the heart. Heno Prabhu, yeah, anyways, I'm gonna stop talking. Heno Prabhu bole janma javat amar, e moto anir svadu nahi pai ar. That Lord said, since birth, I have, in my entire life, I have never tasted such palatable rice as this. Ki garbat hoder swadu na pari kohite alo ghoche e moto ba randhilo kon mate. I cannot describe the fine taste of this banana stem, of this tord. How did he cook without touching it? The Lord even knew that he never touched it. Tumi heno jan she amar bandukul, toma sob lagi she amar adimul. You are certainly one of my friends for whom I incarnate. Śuklāmbara prati dekhi kripar vaibhav, kandite lagilo anyonne bhaktashav. On seeing the extraordinary mercy bestowed on Śuklāmbara, the devotees began to cry among themselves. E moto Prabhu puna puna ashvadiya, korilen bhojan ananda jukta hoya. In this way, the Lord repeatedly relished the meal to his full satisfaction. Jai prasada payen bhikshuk Śuklāmbara, dekhuk abhakta jata papi kotishvar. Let the sinful non-devotee millionaires see the mercy that the beggar Śuklāmbara received. Gaudiya Bhashya. It is not true that if one has hundreds of millions of dollars, one can feed the Supreme Lord. The poverty-stricken Śuklāmbara satisfied Sri Gaurasundar with the rice that he collected by begging. Sinful non-devotees cannot understand these topics. Dhana jane pandite chaitanya nahi pai, bhakti rase vash prabhu sarva shastre gai. One cannot attain Lord Chaitanya by wealth, followers, or learning. All the scriptures declare the Lord is controlled by devotional service. Bhakti rase vash prabhu sarva shastre gai. Boshilen Prabhu preme bhojana koriya, tambula khayen Prabhu hasiya hasiya. After finishing his meal, the Lord, in great satisfaction, sat down and smiled as he chewed betel nuts. Patraloy bhrityagan bhulila anande, Brahma Shiva ananta je patra shire bandhe. The devotees forgot themselves in ecstasy as they honored the remnants that Brahma, Shiva, and Ananta worship. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word patra refers to the remnants of Śrī Mahāprabhu. Ki ananda hoilo she bhikshuker ghare, e mata kautuka kore Prabhu Vishwambare. Who can describe the ecstasy that filled that beggar's house? Such are the pastimes of Lord Vishwambara. Krishna Katha Prasanga Kahiya Kotokhan Shekhane Mahaprabhu korila korila shayan. After discussing the pastimes of Krishna for some time, Mahaprabhu lied down there. Bhaktagan korilen tathai shayan tathi madhye adbhut dekhaye ekajan. The devotees also lied down there. One of them, however, saw something wonderful. What is that? Thakurer ekashishya Shri Vijay Das She Mahapurushe Kichu Dekila Prakash. So everybody lied down there, but one of them, who's that? Well, we're going to read. They saw something wonderful. There was a student of the Lord named Shri Vijay Das. That great soul had a divine vision. Kichu Dekila Prakash. Navadipe tar mata nahi akhariya Prabhure aneka punti diache likhiya. There was no writer in Navadvip as expert as him. He copied many books for the Lord. Okay, yeah, Vidya Lala Sadidi and Vangsiwala Prabhu, I'm recording this video, so I'll re-upload it later on. If the connection's too bad, then don't worry. You'll be able to see the video, a smooth video, right afterwards. I'll upload it. Okay, so there's no writer in Navadvip as expert as him. He copied many books for the Lord. Gaudiya Bhashya. Also, if you like, you can come on Zoom, and it's clear here. The connection is good on Zoom. If anybody wants to follow this on Zoom, go to vineofdevotion.com/CB, and you'll find the Zoom link there. Okay. The word Akariya means a copyist and is derived from the word aksharik, or pertaining to letters. When there were no printing presses, a class of people earns their livelihood by copying books and writings for others. Such people were called akariyas, called scribes, right? Or copyists, I guess. Haribo Vidil Lala Sadidi. Akariya Vijay, Koriya Sabe Ghoshe, Marma nahi jane lok bhakti hina doshe. The people called him Akariya Vijay, but because they were devoid of devotion, they did not know his glories. Shayane Thakur Tana Ange Dila Hasta, Vijay Dekhin Ati Apurva Samasta. While lying down, the Lord placed his hand on the body of Vijay, who then saw something most wonderful. Hemastamba Praya Hasta Dirgash Subalan Paripurna Dekhitati Ratna Abharan. He saw that the Lord's hand was long and mighty, like a golden pillar, and decorated with jeweled ornaments. Shri Ratna Mudrika Jata Angulir Mule Na Jani Ki Koti Surya Chandra Mani Jwale. Wow. All of his fingers were decorated with engraved jeweled rings. It appeared as if millions of suns and moons were brightly shining. Shri Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Shri Ratna Mudrika means engraved rings, or jewel and coral studded rings. Abrahma Parjanta Shab Dekhe Jyotirmoy Hasta Dekhi Parananda Hoila Vijay. That effulgence spread up to the planet of Lord Brahma. On seeing the Lord's hand, Vijay became filled with transcendental ecstasy. Vijay Udyoga Matra Korila Dhakite Shri Hasta Dilen Prabhu Tahara Mukhete. When Vijay was about to shout, the Lord immediately placed his lotus hand over his mouth. Prabhu bole jota din mui thako etha tavat kahare pache koho e kata. What's that? Kata. I think it's supposed to be kata. The Lord said, as long as I remain in this world, do not tell anyone about this incident. 1 second, I'm just 45. Yeah, it's supposed to be kata without an H. Eto boli hase Prabhu Vijay chahiya, Vijay uthila maha hunkar koriya. After saying this, the Lord looked at Vijay and smiled. Then Vijay jumped up and roared loudly. Hey, I thought he was supposed to not say anything. I guess the Lord placed his hand over his mouth. Vijay, yeah, see, when Vijay was about to shout, the Lord immediately placed his lotus hand over Vijay's mouth. And then after Mahaprabhu said, don't tell anybody about this incident, then Vijay jumped up and roared loudly while everybody was sleeping. Vijayer hunkare jagila bhaktagan, thoren Vijay tavo na jai dharan. The loud roaring of Vijay woke up all the devotees. They tried to restrain Vijay, but they were unable. Kotokon unmada Korea Mahashai, Sheshe Hoila Parananda Murchita Tanman. After jumping about like a madman for a while, Vijay became absorbed in ecstasy and fell unconscious. Bhaktasha bhujilen Vaibhava darshan, Sarvagan lagilen korite krandan. As all the devotees realized that he had seen the Lord's opulences, they began to cry. Sabare jigyase Prabhu, ki bolo ihar, achambite Vijayer, boroto hunkar. The Lord asked everyone, what happened to Vijay? Why is he suddenly roaring loudly? Why is he suddenly roaring loudly? Prabhu bole jani laya gangar prabhav, Vijayer visheshe gangai, Vijayer visheshe gangai anurag. The Lord further said, I think it is by the influence of the Ganga, for Vijay is particularly devoted to the Ganga. Nahe Śuklāmbara grihe deva adishtan, kiba dekhilen iha Krishna se praman. Otherwise, the Supreme Lord must be present in Śuklāmbara's house. Only Krishna knows what he has seen. Eto bole Vijayer ange diya hasta, Chaitanya korilo hase Vaishnava samasta. 1 second. Okay. Oh, Haribol Kishore Prabhu, I didn't even notice you there. 1 second, I'm just making it so I can see everybody. There. Okay. So after speaking like this, the Lord touched Vijay's body and brought him back to his After speaking like this, the Lord touched Vijay's body and brought him back to consciousness. Then all the devotees smiled. Etavoli Vijayar ange diya hasta, Chaitanya korila hase Vaishnava samasta. Uthiao Vijay hoila jada pray, Saptadin brahmilen sarva nadiyai. Although Vijay got up, he remained practically inert. For 7 days, he wandered about Nadia in that state. Na ahar na nidra rahita deho dharma, Brahmin Vijay keho nahi jane marma. Vijay did not eat, sleep, or perform any bodily activities as he wandered about. No one could understand the mystery behind this. Koto dine bahya cheshta janila Vijay, Śuklāmbara grihe heno shavaranga hoy. After some days, Vijay regained external consciousness. Such pastimes took place at the house of Śuklāmbara. Śuklāmbara bhagya boli bare shaktikar, Gora Chandra anna parigraha koila jar. Who has the power to describe the good fortune of Śuklāmbara, whose rice was eaten by Gora Chandra? E mata bhagyavanta Śuklāmbara ghare, Goshtir Sahita Gora Sundar Vihare. In this way, Gora Sundar enjoyed pastimes with his associates in the house of the fortunate Śuklāmbara. Vijayere kripa Śuklāmbara bhojan. Ihar Shravane matra mile bhakti dhan. On hearing about the mercy bestowed on Vijay and the acceptance of Śuklāmbara's rice, one attains the wealth of devotional service. Ihar Shravane matra mile bhakti dhan. Simply by hearing this, one attains bhakti dhan, the treasure of bhakti. He namate navadipe Shri Gora Sundar Sarva Veda Bandhya Lila Kore Nirantar. In this way, Sri Gaurasundar constantly performed pastimes in Navadvip that are glorified by all the Vedas. E mata prati Vaishnaver ghare ghare pratidin Nityananda Sanghati Vihare. Accompanied by Nityananda, the Lord daily enjoyed pastimes like this in the houses of all the Vaishnavas. Niravadi prem rase sharir vival, bhava dharma jato taha prakashe shakal, Matsya Kūrma Narasingha Varaha Vaman, Raghu Singha Bodha Kalki Shri Nanda Nandan. The body of the Lord was always agitated in the mellows of ecstatic love as he manifested the sentiments of Matsya, Kūrma, Narasingha, Varaha, Vaman, Ramachandra, Buddha, Kalki, and Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. E mata jata avatar she shakal, shabrupa hoy prabhu kori bhava chal. In this way, the Lord assumed the forms and manifested the sentiments of his various incarnations on some pretext or other. Gaudiya Bhashya. In the Gita Govinda, it is stated, we sang this the other day. I sang it for the first time. Is it Vedan udarate jaganti vahate bhugola murbhi prate daityam dharayate balim chalayate kshatrakshyam kurvate polastyam jayate halam kalayate karunyamantanvate mlechan murchayate dasha kriti krite Krishnaya tubhyam nama. This is the last verse of the Dashavatar Stotram, but we don't usually ever sing it. Yeah, it's in the songbook though. Means, O Lord Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you who appear in the forms of these 10 incarnations. In the form of Matsya, you rescue the Vedas, and as Kūrma, you bear the Mandara mountain on your back. As Varaha, you lift the earth with your tusk, and in the form of Narasingha, you tear open the chest of the Daita Hiranyakashipu. In the form of Vaman, you trick the Daita king Bali by asking him for only 3 steps of land. And then you take away the whole universe from him by expanding your steps. As Parashuram, you slay all of the wicked Kshatriyas. And as Ramachandra, you conquer the Rakshasa king Ravan. In the form of Balaram, you carry a plow with which you subdue the wicked and draw toward you the river Yamuna. As Lord Buddha, you show compassion toward all living beings suffering in this world. And at the end of the Kali Yuga, you appear as Kalki to bewilder the Malechas, the degraded low-class men. So in this way, the Lord assumed forms and manifested the sentiments of his various incarnations on some pretext or other. E shakal bhava hoy lukai takhane sabe na ghuchilo rama bhava chiradine. The Lord manifested these sentiments and then withdrew them. But his sentiment as Balaram remained for many days. Interesting. His sentiment as Balaram remains for many days. Gaudiya Bhashya. After displaying the 10 varieties of sentiments of the incarnations, Then Mahaprabhu concealed them. Of these, he often displayed the sentiment of Haladar. Mahamatta hoila Prabhu, Haladhara bhave. Moda ano, moda ano, mod ano, mod ano, dake ucharave. The Lord would become intoxicated in the mood of Haladar and loudly call out, "Bring wine, bring wine, bring mod." Nityananda janen, Prabhur samihita, Ghatabari Ganga Jal, then Sabahita. Knowing the Lord's intention, who would know better than Nityananda what Mahaprabhu was experiencing? Nityananda would reverentially give him a pot filled with Ganga water. Gaudiya Bhashya. Realizing Sri Gaurasundar's actual intention and calling loudly, "Bring wine," Nityananda Prabhu would bring a pot filled with Ganga water. Ganga water is just like nectar, and it stimulates devotional feelings. Heno she hunkar kore, heno she garjan, Navadvipa adi kori kampe tribhuvan. The Lord would roar and shout in such a way that the three worlds beginning from Navadvip shook. Heno she koren maha tandava prachanda, Prithivite porile prithivi hoy khanda. He would dance so wildly that if he fell to the ground, the earth would crack. Talamala kore bhumi brahmanda sahite, bhoy paye bhritya shab, she nritya dekhite. The earth would sway along with the entire universe, and the devotees would become frightened on seeing that dancing of the Lord. Balaram Varnana Gayan Shab Gita, Shuniya Hoyen Prabhu Anande Murchita. When the devotees would sing the glories of Balaram, the Lord would lose consciousness in ecstasy. Arja Tarja Poden Parama Matta Prai, Dhuliya Dhuliya Shab Angane Bedai. As the Lord staggered around the courtyard like a greatly intoxicated person, he composed and recited particular varieties of poems and songs. Ki Sondarya Prakasha Hoilo Rama Bhave, Dekhite Karo Arti Nahi Bhage. What splendor he manifested in the mood of Balaram. The devotees were unsatiated, even though they constantly gazed at him. Ati anirvachaniya dekhi mukha chandra, ghana ghana dake nityananda nityananda. The Lord's moon-like face was completely beyond his description. He would repeatedly call out, "Nityananda, Nityananda." Kadachit kokono o prabhur bahya hoy, prana jai mor shabe e katha koy. The Lord would seldom regain external consciousness, and when he did so, he would exclaim, "My life is departing, pran jai mor." Prabhu bole Bap Krishna rakhilen pran, marilen dekhi heno jetha Balaram. The Lord would then say, wait, wait. When my uncle Balaram beat me, my father Krishna saved me. Jetha, doesn't Jetha just mean elder? Like your older brother Jetha. All right. 1 second. I said Jetha, right? Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. Huh. Why is it not? Anyways, never mind. Huh. Anyways, Gaudiya Bhashya. Sometimes Mahaprabhu would become absorbed in the mood of Pradyumna. He would then accept Balaram as his guardian and address him as uncle, and he would accept Krishna as his protector and consider him and he would consider him his father. Okay. Eteke bolia Prabhu hena murcha jai, deki trase bhaktagan kande ucharai. After speaking like this, the Lord would lose consciousness in such a way that the devotees would become frightened and cry loudly. Jai krida koren Prabhu she mahadbhuta, nana bhave nritya kore Jagannath Sutta. As the son of Jagannath Mishra danced in various moods, all of the pastimes he exhibited were most wonderful. Kokono va viraha prakasha hino hoy, akatya adbhuta prem sindhu jeno voy. Sometimes he would manifest feelings of separation in such a way that it appeared as if an indescribable, wonderful ocean of ecstatic love was flowing from him. An akatya, an indescribable, adbhut, wonderful prem sindhu, ocean of prem, Janovai would just like that was flowing from him. When he was, when there's viraha prakash, when he is manifesting symptoms of separation. Gaudiya Bhashya. Mahaprabhu displayed feelings of separation when he was absorbed in the sentiments of the gopis of Braj. Heno she dakiya Prabhu koren rodhan, shunile vidirna hoy ananta bhuvan. The Lord's crying would pierce the hearts of people throughout innumerable worlds. Apana rase Prabhu, apane vival, apana pasharijeno koroye shakal. As the Lord became overwhelmed in love for himself, he spoke as though he forgot who he was. Purve jeno gopishav Krishner virahe, payen marana bhoy chandrer udaye. The gopis previously feared that when the moon rose, they would die out of separation from Krishna. Gaudiya Bhashya. When the gopis were afflicted with separation because of not attaining the moon-like face of Sri Krishna Chandra, when they saw in the sky the rising moon, which resembles the moon-like face of Krishna, they exhibited their separation from Krishna 10 states of ecstatic love headed by death. Such transcendental sentiments were exhibited by Gaurasundar. Shesha Bhava Prabhu Koriya Shikar, Kandena Shabar Gala Dhoriya Apar. The Lord became absorbed in those same sentiments and cried bitterly as he held everyone's neck, as he embraced them. Bhava Veshe Prabhur Dekhiya Vivalata Rodan Koren Grihe Shachi Jagan Mata. On seeing the Lord's agitation out of absorption and ecstasy, Shachi, the mother of the universe, cried inside the house. It's difficult for her to see the Lord going through all these feelings. Emata Prabhur Apurva Prema Bhakti, Manusha ki taha varni bare dhare Shakti. Such was the Lord's extraordinary display of loving devotional service. Can a human being have the ability to describe it? To describe that? I remember reading in a previous chapter that it said that Shachi Mata was unaware of all these things, like by the Lord's mercy, because it was giving her so much pain that, like, by the Lord's mercy, she'd become unaware of what Mahaprabhu was like seeing. Like, yeah, she just would. But I guess now she is seeing it again and feeling pain. Nana rupe natya Prabhu kore dine dane, je bhava prakasha Prabhu koren jokhone. Every day, according to the mood manifested by the Lord, he had performed pastimes of the various incarnations. Ekadina gopi bhave jagat ishvar, vrindavana gopi bole nirantar. One day, the Lord of the universe became absorbed in the mood of the gopis and chanted, Vrindavan, Gopī, Gopī. Kon joge tahi ek padua ailo. Bhava marma na janiya she uttar dilo. At that time, a student came there for some purpose. Not understanding the internal mood of the Lord, he spoke. Gopī, Gopī, keno bolo nimai pandita. Gopī, Gopī, chari Krishna bolo ho tvarita. Oops. Ki punya janmi be, Gopī, Gopī nama loile. Krishna nam loile she punya bede bole. Bhinna bhava prabhur she age nahi bhuje. Prabhu bole, Dasyu Krishna kon jane bhaje. Kon jane bhaje. Kritagna, Kritagna hoya vali mare dosha bine. Stri jita hoya kate strir naka kane. Sarvasva loya boli pathai patale. Ki hoibe amar tahar nama loile. Eto boli Mahaprabhu stamba hate loya. Parua marite jai bhava vishta hoya. Oh, Nimai Pandit, why are you chanting Gopi Gopi? Stop chanting Gopi Gopi and chant the name of Krishna. What piety will you achieve by chanting Gopi Gopi? The Vedas say that one achieves piety by chanting the name of Krishna. The Lord was absorbed in a different mood, which the ignorant student could not understand. The Lord said, Krishna is a rogue. Who will worship him? He mercilessly killed Bali for no fault of his. Being controlled by his wife, he cut off the nose and ears of another woman. He took everything away from Bali Maharaj and sent him to Patal. What will I gain by chanting his name? After speaking in this way, Mahaprabhu, who was absorbed in ecstasy, took up a stick and rushed to beat the student. Kaudiya Bhashya, considering himself a resident of Vrindavan as the son of a cowherd, Śrī Gaurasundar addressed the daughter of Vrishabhanu. On hearing him, a young Brahmin student who could not understand the internal mood of Lord Gauranga said, chanting the name of Krishna is the only way to be delivered from material existence. How have you been misguided to give up chanting such names and take to chanting the name of a Gopī? The young student did not know that one cannot attain the lotus feet of Krishna without taking shelter of the Gopis, who are Krishna's Ashray Vigrahas, are the Lord's manifestations of whom one must take shelter. Ah, that's interesting. The Lord's manifestation whom one must take ashray of. I never saw it in that way. Usually I just think of it as the abode of love, but one who should be taken shelter of. In particular, since that foolish student did not study the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam verse, Ahush Chate Nalina Nabha, and this verse means, Dear Lord, whose navel is just like a lotus flower, your lotus feet are the only shelter for those who have fallen into the deep well of material existence. Your feet are worshipped and meditated upon by great mystic yogis and highly learned philosophers. We wish that these lotus feet may also be awakened within our hearts, although we are only ordinary persons engaged in household affairs. So, Srila Saraswati Thakur is saying that because the student did not study this verse of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, he tried to induce Gaurasundar to chant the name of Krishna like an abominable atonement prescribed by a smarta supervisor in a way that clashed with the internal mood of Gaurasundar, who therefore attempted to show that student the same treatment Sri Madhavendra Puri showed to his misguided disciple Ramachandra Puri. He said, what will I gain by taking shelter of that rogue Krishna who cut off the nose and ears of the lusty Shurparnaka, who killed Vali, and who sent Bali to Patal after taking everything away from him? After speaking such loving, quarrelsome words, Mahaprabhu chased after that student. Ate vyate parua uthiya dilo rad, pache dhai Prabhu bole dharo dharo. Yeah. Dekhiya Prabhur Krodar Thenga Hate Dhai Satvare Shangshay Mani Padua Polai. The student quickly got up and ran away, with Mahaprabhu chasing after him, exclaiming, while Mahaprabhu was exclaiming, Dharo, Dharo, catch him, catch him. Seeing the angry Lord with a stick in his hand, the student panicked and ran away. Gaudiya Bhashya, not understanding the intention of Sri Gaurasundar, that student became extremely anxious and fearful and ran away to escape being beaten by the Lord by his stick. Bhinna bhave jai Prabhu, na jane padua, pranaloya mahatrase jai polaya. The student did not understand that different mood by which the Lord was chasing him. He became greatly frightened and ran for his life. Pranloya. Pranloya jai polaya. Ate vyate dhaya prabhur bhaktagan anilen dhoriya prabhure tatokon. The devotees quickly ran after the Lord, and soon they caught him and brought him back. Shabe mili sthir korailen prabhure mahabhoy padua polaya gelo dure. As they all pacified the Lord, the student fearfully ran far away. Satvare cholila jatha paduvargan sarva ange garma shwas vahe ghane ghan. Breathing heavily and covered with perspiration, the student quickly joined his fellow students. Sambrame jigyase shabe bhoyere karan ki jigyasa aji bhage rohilo jivan. They all anxiously asked him why he was frightened, and he replied, Don't ask. Today, I'm lucky to still be alive. Shabe bole boro sadhu nimai pandita dekhite gelaya ami tahar barita. Everyone says that Nimai Pandit is a great saint, so I went to his house to see him. Dekhilaya boshia japen e nam aharnisha aharnishi gopi gopi na boloe anam. I saw he was sitting and chanting Gopi Gopi. Day and night, he is chanting only these names. Tahe ami bolilaya ki koro pandita Krishna Krishna bolo jeno shastrer vihita. So I asked him, O Pandit, what are you doing? Chant the name of Krishna as the scriptures have prescribed. E bakya shuni maha krodha agni hoya thenga hate amare ailo keda. On hearing my words, he burned with anger, and then he picked up a stick and began to chase me. Krishnere o hoilo jateka gala gali taha ar mukhe ami anite na pari. He also criticized Krishna with such filthy words that I am unable to repeat them. Taha ar mukhe ami anite na pari. Rakha pailaya aji paramayu gune rohilaya e aji kara vivarane. I was saved only by the will of destiny. This is what happened to me today. Shuniya hashaye shab mahamurka gane bolite lagila jar jeno loy mane keho bole bhalato Vaishnav bole loke Brahmana langite ay sena mahakope keho bole Vaishnava va bolibo ke mone Krishna heno nama jadi na bole vadane keho bole shunilaya arbhuta akhyan Vaishnave japaye matra gopi gopi naam কেহ বলে এতবার সম্ভ্রম কেনে করি আমরা কি ভ্রমণের তেজ নাহি ধরি তেহ সে ব্রাহ্মণ আমরা কি বিপ্র নাহি তেহ আমরা কি বিপ্র নাহি তেহ মারিবে না আমরা কেন বাসহি রাজা তো নাহেন তেহ মারিবেন কেনে আমরা ও সমবায় হও সর্বজনে যদি তেহ মারিতে ধায়েন প্রভুর বা পুনর্বার আমরা সকল তবে না সহিব আর তেহ নবদ্বীপে জগন্নাথ মিশ্র পুত্র আমরা ও নাহি অল্প মানুষের সুত হেরো হেরো সবে পড়িলায়া কালী তার শনে আজি তিহ গোসাই বা হইল কেমনে On hearing that student's words, his foolish friends laughed and began to discuss their thoughts on the matter. One of them said, people call him a Vaishnav, but then why does he try to angrily beat a Brahmana? Another said, how can he be called a Vaishnav if he does not chant the name of Krishna? Someone else said, this is a strange story. This is a strange story I'm hearing. A Vaishnav is chanting the name Gopī? Yet another person said, why should we be frightened? Don't we possess the prowess of Brahmanas? He is a Brahmana, but aren't we also? If he attacks us, why should we tolerate it? He is not a king that he can just attack anyone. We should all stick together, and if he attacks us again, we will not tolerate it. He may be the son of Jagannath Mishra of Navadip, but we are not the sons of less important persons. Remember, just recently we studied with him. Now see how he has become a Goswami. Gaudiya Bhashya. The frightened student approached his proud fellow students who were less intelligent like him and told them about Sri Gaurasundar's behavior. As a result, some of his fellow students said, we all studied together with Vishvambar, so how can he suddenly become a liberated Mahabhagavat? He may be the son of Jagannath Mishra, but we are also the sons of learned Brahmins persons like Jagannath Mishra. He is not a king who can award punishment. If he comes to punish us, we will punish him. Like him, we are also the sons of Brahmins. If he comes to beat a Brahmin, why should we tolerate it? If someone accepts him as superior to a Brahmin by calling him a Vaishnav, then we should have heard the name of Krishna coming from his mouth, as befitting a Vaishnav. On hearing the strange name Gopī coming from his mouth, no one will consider him a Vaishnav. The duty of a Vaishnav is to follow in the footsteps of a Brahmana. Therefore, since he became angry enough to beat a Brahmana, we can certainly understand that he is envious of the Brahmanas. The mentality that sinful-minded people develop under the burden of their sinful activities has been current since time immemorial. We can see examples of such hard-heartedness even today. এ মত যুক্তি করিলেন পাপীগণ জানিলেন অন্তর্যামী শ্রী সচ্চিদানন্দন. In this way, the sinful students made a plan which was understood by Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata, the Super Soul. একদিন মহাপ্রভু আছেন বসিয়া চতুর্দিকে সকল পার্ষদ গণ লইয়া. One day, Mahaprabhu was sitting in the midst of his associates. Ekabakya arbhuta bolila achambita, keho na bhujilo artha shabe chamakita. Suddenly, he spoke something strange, which no one could understand. They were all struck with brightness and sorry. Oh my God. I just fell asleep and I don't know why I said brightness. I started dreaming. Sorry guys. I had a really long day yesterday. Suddenly he spoke something strange which no one could understand. They were all struck with wonder. Korila pipali khanda kafani barite Ulatia aro kafa bari lo dehete. So so this is a strange thing that he spoke that nobody could understand. He said, Korilo pipali kanda kafa nivarite, ulatia aro kafa bari la dehete. I made the medicine pipali kanda to clear excess mucus. But instead of clearing the mucus in the body, it created more mucus. Gaudiya Bhashya. I made an attempt to preach to the suffering living entities of this world a truth that has never before been revealed. But rather than accepting this, they took the heavy burden of offense on their shoulders. I wanted to preach for the eternal benefit of the residents of Nadia, but they have not understood my intention and seem to have become bewildered. So they are opposing the preaching of pure devotional service. The Vedic literature prescribes the medicine Pipali Kanda to cure a person who is afflicted by excessive mucus. But rather than curing the disease, the medicine has simply increased the mucus. The materialistic people of this world worship imaginary gods to increase their sense gratification. They do not perform any activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, but simply remain busy gratifying their own senses. They consider sense gratification as the goal of life and do not inquire about the rarely attained loving devotional service of Krishna. Voli atta atta hase sarva lokanath, karanana bhuji bhoy janmila sabhata. After saying this, the Lord of all laughed loudly. The devotees could not understand why he was laughing and became anxious. Nityananda Bhujile, we're at the ends now. These are the last 3 verses. Nityananda Bhujilen Prabhur Antar, Janilen Prabhu Shigra Chari Bena Ghar. Nityananda understood the Lord's plan, and he understood the Lord will soon leave home. Vishade hoila magna Nityananda Rai, hoibo sannyasi rup Prabhu sarvathai. Lord Nityananda became absorbed in lamentation as he realized that the Lord would certainly take sannyas. E sundar ke sher hoibo antardhan, dukhe Nityanandir vikala hoilo pran. Thinking that the Lord would shave off his beautiful hair, Nityananda became agitated with distress. Oh, that's it. I fell asleep right when we read the last verse. Okay. Thinking that the Lord would shave off his beautiful hair, Nityananda became agitated with distress. Okay, so that's our reading for today. I'm just going to read a few verses here, just the translations. After a while, Lord Gauranga took Nityananda by the hand and sat down in a solitary place. The Lord said, "Listen, Nityananda Prabhu, let me confidentially reveal my heart to you. I came to deliver the living entities of this world. I could not deliver them, as it appears that I came to destroy them. They are supposed to be freed from material bondage by seeing me, but whereas they are previously bound by one rope, they are now bound by millions of ropes. As soon as they decided to beat me, they were immediately entangled in unlimited ropes. I incarnated to deliver the people of the world, but it appears that I am destroying them. Soon you should see me shave my head and give up my Brahman thread. I will wander about begging as a sannyasi. I will soon become a beggar at the door of those who have decided to beat me. Then they will fall at my feet when they see me, and in this way I will deliver the entire world. Everyone offers obeisances to a sannyasi. No one dares to beat one. As a sannyasi, I will soon wander from door to door begging. Let me see then who beats me. I have thus revealed my heart to you. I will certainly give up household life. Do not feel distressed because of this. Give me your permission. Give me your permission to take sannyas. I will do whatever you want, but you know the purpose of my incarnation. If you want the world delivered, I hope you will not forbid me from taking sannyas. Do not feel unhappy for even a moment, for you know the purpose of my incarnation. Nityananda's mind, body, and life airs were shattered when he heard that the Lord would shave his head. He had no advice to offer, for he knew that the Lord would certainly take sannyas. Nityananda said, "O Lord, you are supremely independent. Whatever you desire will certainly take place. Who can tell you what to do or what not to do? Whatever is in your heart is inevitable. You are the maintainer and the Lord of all planets. You know well what is proper for you. You alone know how you will deliver the people of the world. You are independent and full of..." Anyways, so we're going to read all this. "Still, you may ask your servants to see what they have to say. Then do whatever you desire, O Lord, for who can change your will?" On hearing Nityananda's words, the Lord is satisfied and repeatedly embraced him. After discussing with Nityananda in this way, Lord Gauranga went to the assembly of Vaishnavas. As Nityananda realized that the Lord would leave home, he lost external consciousness and his body was stunned. After becoming pacified, Nityananda thought, "How will Mother Shachi survive when the Lord leaves home? How will Mother Shachi pass her days and nights?" Thinking like this, the exalted Nityananda practically lost consciousness. Realizing how Mother Shachi would suffer, Lord Nityananda went to a solitary place and continuously cried. Gaurachandra went to the house of Mukunda, and yeah, so then it will continue on. So that's our reading for tomorrow. All right, it is 8:30, so I will end now. Oh, wow. Kishore just wrote a message. Tomorrow is Mahaprabhu's Sannyas Day. Whoa, without any planning, we're going to be reading about Mahaprabhu taking sannyas. This has happened so many times in our readings without any planning or anything. It just automatically falls on like the most appropriate day. Yeah, that is really neat. Okay, I'm going to end now. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Thank you so much for joining. And sorry, today I'm so exhausted from yesterday. I was falling asleep towards like the second half of this reading, like a lot. But I think I managed to read without stopping too much. But yeah, sorry about that. Tomorrow I'll be more awake. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Dandava, yeah, Haribol, everybody. Sorry, it's I can't even think right now. Kishore, would you like to do Jaidvani or do you want me to do Jaidvani? I'm fine either way.
I can do if you want.
Yes. Okay, great. Great.
Okay, Jai Nitai. Jai Sabrikar Shishi Gurga Ranga Ganharivya Giridhari Radhavinod Bihari Radhainath Radhaman Bihari Radhamarva Shishi Sachidanand Gaur Hari Radha Govind Ji Ki Jai Sri Govind Gopinath Madan Mahan Ji Ki Jai Jai Natyalela Pravishtam Vishwapar Paramaham Sabri Vrajachari Varesto Drashta Shishman Bhaktiviyan Bharati Goswami Guru Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Natyalela Pravishtam Vishwapar Paramaham Sabri Vrajachari Varesto Drashta Shishman Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Pati Pavan Shri Gurudev Ki Jai Natyalela Pravishtam Vishwapar Drashta Shishman Bhakti Balab Tirtha Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai सत्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपादस्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपादस्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान भक्तिवेदांत विक्रम गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपादस्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपादस्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान भक्तिदैत मार्ग गोस्वामी परम गुरु महाराज की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपादस्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज परम गुरुदेव की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपादस्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान जगद्गुरु शिवर शबानाभि द्वैतदास शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। स्वापरिकार शिल प्रभुपाद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद महापरम भगवत प्रभार परमहंस स्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान गौर किशोर दास पक्षी महाराज की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद सप्तम गोस्वामी स्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान सचितानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर महाशय की जय। तृतीयालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सर्वभौम स्तोत्रस्त श्रीमान जगन्नाथ दास पक्षी महाराज की जय। सूर्य कुंदवासी सिद्धाशल मधुसुंदास पक्षी महाराज की जय। श्री उद्धवदास उदरानदास की जय। जय गौरविदान आचार्य शिष्मान बलदेव विभूषण प्रभु की जय। जय महामहोपध्याय ऋषिक शिरोमणि शिल विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर पार की जय। जय श्री शिल रसिकानंद मुरारी प्रभु की जय। जय शिल रामचंद्र कविराज की जय। जय श्री लोचन दास ठाकुर की जय। जय शिल नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर महाशय श्रीनिवासाचार्य श्यामानंद पंडित प्रभुत्राय की जय। जय श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। जय शिल व्यास अवतार अरिकावी ऋषि वृंदावन दास ठाकुर महाशय की जय। जय श्री अष्टक विराज विसृजानव नित्यानंद दुर्श गोपाल श्री चौषति महंत जगाय मुदाय की जय। जय श्री रूपा श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट रास रघुनाथ सर्गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर यनमानंद लोकनाथ गर्भ अदि गौर परिशार वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री ईश्वर परिपार की जय। श्री माधवेंद्र परिपार की जय। श्री लक्ष्मीपति टेटपार की जय। श्री अंतरदीप मायापुर समदीप गोद्रुमदीप मध्यदीप कलिदीप ऋतुदीप जानदीप मातृद्रमादीप रुद्रदीप मात्मका श्री नावदीप धाम की जय। श्री एक चक्र धाम की जय। श्री शांतिपुर धाम की जय। श्री गौर चंद्र भगवान की जय। श्री श्री गौर गदाधर जीव की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ गोपी गोपी को गिर गोविंद वनात्मक श्री ब्रजमंडल धाम की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गंग सखी आमन सखी तुलसी भक्ति देव की जय। जय वृषभानुनंदिनी श्रीमती राधा रानी ठाकुरानी की जय। जय श्री ललिता विशाखा चित्र चंबकला तुतुंग विद इंदुलेख रंगदेवी सुदेवी आदि सखी वृंद की जय। श्री अनंग प्रेमम जलाले श्री रूपल भंग राघविलस गुणरति कस्तूरी कमल नयन मणि अरिमंजारी वृंद की जय। श्रीमती वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भगवती पूर्णमासी गुमाय देवी की जय। जय श्री गोपीश्वर श्री शिव महादेव की जय। जय राधा परंगित राम श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र नीलमाधव जीव की जय। श्री तत्व गोपीनाथ की जय। श्री नमचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर समाधि मंदिर की जय। शिल प्रपाद आविर्भाव स्थली की जय। जय श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र मंडल नीलाचल धाम की जय। जय सर्व विक्रम विनाशन करि भक्त विक्रम विनाश श्री नरसिंह देव की जय। भक्तराज भक्त परवर श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री प्रहलाद लक्ष्मी नरसिंह देव की जय। जय श्री चरिराम श्री संप्रदाय श्री आचार्य की जय। श्री मध्वार मनोज विष्णु स्वामी निम्बिदित्य आचार्य की जय। जय कर्मतरा श्री चैतन्य मार्ग की जय। श्री गौरी मार वृंद की जय। जय ग्रंथरा श्रीमाद भगवताम भगवद गीता चैतन्य चरितामृत चैतन्य भागवत जैव धर्म आदि सर्व गौरी वैष्णव ग्रंथ वृंद की जय। जय त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम प्रभु की जय। जय त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन धर्म की जय। जय त्रिभुवन मंगल धन्य धन्य कलयुग तरक ब्रह्म श्री हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे महामंत्र की जय। श्री आनंद करी वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री समकट गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय परम ब्रह्मन परमा सत्यम परमेश्वर पति पावन प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम स्वयं भगवान जगन्नाथ मिश्र नंदन गौर सुंदर गदाधर प्राणनाथ श्री विश्वम्बर मिश्र निमाय पंडित श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य चंद्र महाप्रभु की जय। परमा दयाल परमा करुणामय भक्ति स्वरूप श्री श्रीमान नित्यानंद हलदार बलराम हजान प्रभु की जय। श्री श्री गौरताय की जय। श्री चैतन्य भगवान की जय। शिल वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद भक्ति सरान सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद गौरी वश्य की जय। जय श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्री शुक्लम्बर ब्रह्मचारी की जय। श्री विजय दास की जय। ओम वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रददेवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। मञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री राधे श्याम।
Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavat pranams. Thank you so much for staying all the way till the end. Yeah, and especially all of you who are on YouTube and Facebook, you managed to stick through all the breaking up and the bad connection. So thank you for that. Dandavat pranams, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, Nari Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Vidyalala Sadidi, Subhadra Didi, Champak Mataji, Shubhananda Prabhu, Ganga Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, Amit Prabhu, Rasapriya Didi, Ganga Mataji, Vidyalala Sadidi, Vanksiwala Prabhu, and everybody there. Dandavat pranams. Okay, I'm gonna crash right now. I'm so tired. I feel kind of like I'm in a dream because I didn't hardly sleep the night before, and then the whole day. Yeah, it's very intense day. Nityananda Trayodashi, blissful day, but intense. And so, yeah. See you all tomorrow, and I'm gonna upload this video to YouTube for anybody who wants to watch a more smooth version. But, all right, see you tomorrow to read about Mahaprabhu's plan to take sannyas on the day Mahaprabhu actually took sannyas. And also Srila Narottam Das Thakur's, right? Tomorrow's Narottam Das Thakur's day as well. I think so.
Yeah.
So, all right. Great. All right. Dandavat pranams. Hare Krishna, everybody.